When I moved into this house, I was seeking peace. The place had everything I needed: silence, space, and just enough distance from the chaos of the city. It was an old house with high ceilings and an air reminiscent of those classic horror films you see on TV. If I had known what awaited me, I would never have crossed that door. The first night passed uneventfully. I spent hours unpacking boxes and dusting off furniture when, just after midnight, someone knocked on the door. The sound was clear and deliberate, 3 firm knocks. Puzzled, I opened the door, not expecting visitors. In front of me stood a young woman. Her face was beautiful, though marred by exhaustion and something else I couldn't quite identify at the time. She wore a black spaghetti-strap dress, tight and worn, falling to her knees, with a weathered leather jacket over it. Her thin legs were clad in torn black tights, and her feet were tucked into heavy boots. Her dark brown hair fell in messy strands over her face, and a bold red lipstick stood out starkly against her pale skin. "Sorry to bother you so late," she said softly, her voice trembling. "Can I come in? My husband, he hit me, and I have nowhere else to go." I couldn't say no. Her split lip and the faint bruise on her left cheekbone erased any hesitation. I offered her the couch in the living room. She thanked me with a faint smile and settled in. I went to bed, uneasy but convinced I'd done the right thing. The next morning, when I woke up, she was gone. There was no trace of her. Not even the blanket I'd given her was out of place. I wondered how she'd left without me hearing, but I didn't dwell on it too much. Yet, that night, she came back. The same knocks on the door, just as firm, just as insistent. She was there again, this time with a black eye and chapped lips. Her outfit was nearly identical, though it seemed even more worn, as if she hadn't had the chance to change. I let her in once more. She sat on the couch, arms crossed as though shielding herself from something unseen. "I'm so sorry for bothering you," she said, staring at the floor. "I just need a safe place." I assured her it was fine and that she could stay as long as she needed. Yet deep down, I felt uneasy. There was something strange about her behavior. The way she never got too close, as if she didn't want to invade my space more than necessary. I went to bed, trying to ignore the nagging feeling. At dawn, she was gone again. This pattern repeated for 3 more nights. Each time she came, her appearance grew more disheveled, her injuries deeper. But what unsettled me the most was her silence. After her initial explanation, she barely spoke. She would just sit on the couch, staring at the floor, as though waiting for something that never arrived. By the 4th day, my curiosity turned into concern. I decided to find her husband and confront him. I asked the neighbors about her, but no one seemed to know who I was talking about. Some looked at me like I was crazy. Others simply ignored me. Desperate, I went to the police. I needed help. At the station, I explained everything to the officer on duty. He listened patiently, but when I mentioned the woman's name, Akane, his expression changed. It was clear he recognized the story. Slowly, he stood from his chair and rummaged through a dusty file cabinet. He pulled out an envelope containing several photos. "Is this the woman who's been coming to your house?" he asked, sliding a photo across the desk. A chill ran down my spine. Yes, it was her. The hair, the face, even the leather jacket, everything matched. "What's going on? Did you find her?" I asked, my voice tense with unease. The officer sighed and leaned toward me, his voice heavy with gravity. "That woman died a year ago. Her husband killed her in that house, strangled her, then fled. We never caught him, but she's dead." I sat there in stunned silence, unable to process what I'd just heard. It made no sense. I'd seen her. I'd spoken to her. Just last night, she'd been on my couch. "There must be some mistake," I insisted, though my voice wavered. The officer shook his head and pulled out another photo, this time of the inside of my house. It was the living room, my couch, but stained with dried blood. At that moment, a memory surfaced in my mind. The previous nights, there had always been a strange smell in the room, like dampness, but I'd never paid it much attention. That night, I returned home feeling trapped in a nightmare. When I entered, the air was icy. The couch was empty, but shadows seemed to shift in the dark corners of the living room. Suddenly, the knocking came again. 3 firm, insistent knocks. I didn't open the door. I couldn't. I stood frozen in the middle of the room as the knocks grew louder, more desperate. Then I heard her voice. "Please let me in. He's here." I still don't know if she meant her husband or something worse. I didn't open the door that night or ever again. But sometimes in the quiet of the night, I still hear those 3 knocks, an echo of the past that refuses to fade away.